Eleanor Purier and Allie O, neck and neck, stride for stride. 250 meters to go. And Allie O looks very clean over that last barrier. Opens up some separation on Eleanor Purier. Allie Ostrander, find a water barrier. Over clean. Purier seems to be struggling. Allie O to another gear. One final barrier to go. Down the home stretch, and she is home free. She's gonna win her first ever NCAA title as a redshirt freshman. Allie O, your NCAA champion.
Well, there comes a certain point where you really just have to be like, F it, and just go ahead and do whatever you're really dreading. And I think that time is now for me. Yesterday actually marked 5 weeks for me of intensive eating disorder treatment.
Allie Ostrander is no longer with the Brooks Beasts. She posted a message on Instagram. My body cannot currently handle the volume and intensity of training that is necessary to be a professional runner.
It's something that I need to do, and it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when, and there's no time like the present.
I want to be a good example, and I don't want the next generation to feel the way that I feel. So I want to share this right now when I'm literally in the shit, and it's uncomfortable for me, but I'm doing it.
What's it like to run in Alaska?
Oh, he's interviewing us.
Racing and competing in Alaska, I loved it.
There she is.
My first memory in a race was actually a little community 5K. Since I was pretty young, I've just loved winning, loved pushing myself. I started noticing changes with my eating habits as early as 5th grade. It always kind of focused around running because I just heard people saying that oh, when girls hit puberty, they get slower. So I was terrified to let that happen.
And soon to be winner, Allie Ostrander.
In my freshman year of high school, I remember people calling me anorexic and me being that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't think I even realized what an eating disorder was. In my head, I was well, I do eat, so I don't have one, when in reality, I wasn't eating enough to fuel my athletic pursuits. I didn't know that bone density was something you had to build, and that not getting a period was really bad for your health. None of those things were anywhere in my consciousness.
And it's going to come down to the final kick.
I decided to go to Boise State.
Allie O, the phenom freshman out of Alaska.
And I felt like I was a successful student athlete.
Allie O is the fastest woman to run on this course in history.
But I also never felt satisfied.
Coming into the final stretches of this women's Division I race.
We speak so much about Boise State. Beth Ann Knight's making a statement of her own.
For so long, I saw restricting what I was eating as a part of my training.
So it looks like it is going to be Knights, clearly, and then it's going to be Ostrander to take second.
I didn't realize what I was doing to myself and how that would haunt me years down the line. Leading up to the 2020 Olympic trials, it was pretty much a worst-case scenario for me. Brooks, my coach, and the sports nutritionists that we had on staff were concerned from some struggles with injuries that I'd had.
The Fuse vibration roller, I've been incorporating it since I got a PRP injection in my Achilles this spring.
They all basically determined that going to treatment was the best move for me. So I was running 4 days a week And then I went every day to an eating disorder treatment center. So going into the trials, I didn't have a ton of confidence. I did make the final, but going into the final, I was just so nervous. I ended up, like, when we were in the staging area, I ran into the bathroom and cried a little bit. That just made me think, whatever, this isn't my year. Obviously, the circumstances are 100% stacked against me. When I went to treatment, I did feel like that was rock bottom. But then when I was out of treatment, done with the trials, about 2 weeks later, I got a femoral neck stress fracture. And then I realized that was rock bottom. I was still really struggling to get in the correct mental headspace to focus on racing instead of focusing on all the kind of demons that I had been fighting.
You have to go away and do the work. You have to go away and understand the why. And it's not just about restoring energy and restoring weight and suddenly you feel better. You know, we're talking about a personality type here. And if you don't understand that personality type, if you don't understand how your social psycho environment influences you and impacts how you think and then drives these behaviors, then you can't change. You know, it's not as simple as eat more. It's more complicated. It's both a physical and a mental illness. So it affects you in every way.
The way I describe treatment to people is it's like you're working a job that you hate, but you don't get any days off, and all your days are 10-hour days. I majored in exercise science. I know in my head that I need to eat enough and that it will help me and it's really important. But there's a part of my brain that pushes back on that every time. And it's so strong that it's like purgatory almost. It's like that Greek myth about the guy that pushes the rock up the hill only for it to fall back down to the bottom and then he has to push it up again. It's like that. I just have to keep pushing this rock up a hill and then it seems like every time it gets to the top, it just rolls back down.
Right now, as I'm going through this, I feel like I'm the first person that has, and I know that that is not true, but there just aren't enough examples of elite athletes that have gone through intensive eating disorder recovery.
I decided to take the leap and make a post about my eating disorder because I just felt like if I wanted to be authentic, then I needed to be honest with my followers. 6 weeks ago, I left altitude camp with my team and admitted myself to a partial hospitalization program for eating disorder recovery. I was afraid to share this on social media, but I'm more afraid of the disservice I would do to other individuals by keeping this to myself. This is hard, but it's not uncommon.
How common is it? The studies vary, and the last paper I read said that the number could be anywhere between 30 and 70% of the athletic population suffering with some element of eating dysfunction. There's a very high percentage of individuals who participate in sport and activity that will have some element of difficult relationship with food.
I think my eating disorder has definitely been present through all stages of my career, and it's just been this constant fear for me of ever not just continuing to take steps forward with running and being afraid of ever taking a step back and ever fully relinquishing that control that I was holding on to over what I was consuming.
Having an eating disorder and being an athlete is a really, really serious problem. Physically, you put your body at massive risk. The further you go into an eating disorder, the more of a deficit there becomes. So you do become at a higher risk of developing injury, but also you just don't make progress.
For so long, I saw, restricting what I was eating as a part of my training and how I could benefit from my training, when really that should be reversed. And it should be that eating enough and eating in the windows around your training and giving yourself enough carbs and giving yourself enough protein and fats for your body to function normally is how you'll be able to adapt to training and perform really well. I didn't realize what I was doing to myself and how that would haunt me years down the line. Now I'm looking at my 13-year-old self just so mad she didn't eat more, because I wish that I had stronger bones and a stronger body and I was able to withstand more training, higher volume, and worry less about my body being able to hold up to the stresses of training, and worried more about, you know, what those stresses were going to be. I'm really passionate about eating disorder awareness and prevention because I don't think I had enough awareness, and I definitely didn't have enough prevention growing up, and I wish that I would have. I will always be involved in that for the rest of my life. And I'm still not recovered, and it's just such a long, hard process, facing your biggest fears every day over and over again. But I think I just have a lot more compassion for everyone now and a lot more understanding of the power of community. It's taught me that I'm resilient, but also stubborn. It's taught me that maybe being a runner isn't the most important thing I'll ever do. I am not the best at facing fears, but that I can still do it. For people that are deciding maybe to pursue recovery and it's really scary for them to take that step, start now. Talk to adults in your life about it and try to pursue some form of treatment, whether that's speaking with a dietitian or a therapist or going to a treatment center. Like, whatever level of care you're ready for, pursue that, because the earlier you intervene, the easier it will be to overcome, and you're going to have to overcome this at some point. It's going to be hard whenever you try to overcome it, so might as well just get it out of the way now. If you continue to just participate in your eating disorder, you know what that path is, but until you actually commit to recovery, you don't know what that path looks like. At least figure out your options, know what the other path looks like before you decide to live a life with an eating disorder.